As many of you know, Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has once again re-entered the spotlight because of his role in the recent New York Post story, more and more of which is being debunked daily. And one of the speculations about Rudy Giuliani for a while, it's been written about for a long time, not something I came up with, is that Rudy has a serious drinking problem. And that in particular, there was an effort to keep Rudy off of nighttime television because then it was more likely that Rudy Giuliani would be drunk, and that, yeah, sure, the afternoons could be tough because he would, maybe have a few too many with lunch, but that the nighttime was really, really the problem. Now, I won't go back through all of the archives, but we've seen clips before of Rudy Giuliani showing up slurring, one eye half shut. One day, half his hair was like shaved. He had like shaved half of his head. Maybe it was just a combing issue. Crooked glasses, shiny eyes, red eyes, the entire thing. Anyway, Donald Trump's other former lawyer, Michael Cohen, went on MSNBC and straight up said, Rudy Giuliani is drunk all the time. And it's not speculation. It's based on what I, meaning Michael Cohen, has seen. Take a look.
I mean, Rudy's drunk all the time, which is a big problem. And that's what makes him susceptible because his faculties are gone. He behaves crazy.
Now, as a journalist, I have to ask you, are you sharing an opinion or are you sharing an observation like you've seen him drink X amount? That's the same thing an investigator would ask.
Oh, I've seen him drink to the point like he's a high school drunk. And it makes him susceptible, and he takes the information that he gets and he provides it off to the president. And simply because Rudy, who used to be considered, a real litigator, and he was considered to be America's mayor, is now really just a joke.
The one thing there that we, of course, know to be true is that Rudy Giuliani is now considered to be a joke, but that's not actually what's relevant here. And to be really, really careful, this is not, Rudy is an alcoholic. This is about yet another person who has a direct line to Trump and is directing much of the opposition stories trying to help Trump. He is allegedly heavily influencing this, and we are learning that his state of mind and actions may be affected by drugs that make you make bad decisions. If you go to Counterintelligence 101, one of the things any good operative knows is when an individual would be susceptible to alcohol or other substances, to disinhibit them in ways that could be advantageous to an adversary. If you're working a target, you would, of course, know this. Rudy admits that it's a 50% chance he was working with a Russian spy on the eventual New York Post story. We know Rudy was a big factor in pushing for the story to be published, despite the hesitations that we learned about yesterday, thanks to the New York Times, by New York Post staffers who were saying, I don't think we should even be publishing this. This is exactly how people get taken advantage of by professionals. Now, the counter to this would be, let's not just say it's alcohol's fault. Rudy Giuliani is a wealthy, privileged man with a working brain who is choosing not only to work for Trump, but to continue working for Donald Trump. And while the individual action might be affected maybe by his alcohol consumption, if you believe what Michael Cohen says, Giuliani has agency here, and he is a willing participant. Rudy Giuliani's daughter, who is supporting Joe Biden, has written about Rudy is choosing to do this. You can't just say it's the alcohol. It can be both, that Rudy is, of course, complicit, but open to being taken extra advantage of because of the drinking that many now have alleged. Also interesting, by the way, from that interview I showed you is from an Ari Melber interview on MSNBC. One of the other things that Michael Cohen said is that Chris Christie's debate prep for Trump included suggesting trigger Biden stutter by interrupting a lot. It'll make Biden stutter and he will look bad. This has been denied by Chris Christie. Seems totally plausible. And it is merely an allegation. But as far as the drunkenness thing, if Michael Cohen were making this up, Rudy could sue him. And Rudy's not going to sue him. And there's every indication Michael Cohen is telling the truth, because it's what anybody who's seen Rudy on TV, particularly the nighttime appearances, would suspect. More sad than anything is, listen, alcoholism is a health issue. What's particularly sad is that individuals who may be in vulnerable states because of their substance abuse are being deputized to drive main narratives, primary narratives in the Trump smear campaign against Joe Biden. And that's pretty ugly stuff.